that when the people divide in these matters, of creed, that they have separated themselves into groups and schisms from the same sect, Firqatul-Najiyah, Ahl-Sunnati wal-Jama'ah, al-Da'wah-al-Salafiyyah. And he says, Ikhwan, in the affairs of the principles and the fundamentals of the Aqeedah, from the likes of the Tawheed, with the three branches, ومن اعتقد جواز الاستغاثة بالمخلوقين فيما لا يقدر عليه إلا الله أو تغاضى عمن يتطوف بالقبور ويختم لها القرابين والنذور ويهدي بأصحابها راغبا إليهم في جلب الخير ودفع الشرور ويرى أنه لم يخرج من الإسلام بفعله لهذا المحظور بل يسميه أخا. And then the Shaykh, he goes on, Ikhwan, to mention now he's going to start to talk about some of these matters that should separate, and we should separate from these individuals, Ikhwan. We should not be from those who cause the unity with the likes of these individuals. The Shaykh says, from the likes of them, those who find it permissible to make istighatha, to call in help and assistance upon the creation, and that was they do not have the ability to do so. Do we not know, Ikhwan, of the call of the likes of the Sufiyah, the extremes of the Sufiyah, who call upon the dead of the graves, and call upon these individuals, Ikhwan, and ask them to bless them with a righteous child, or to bless them with paradise, or to aid them in wealth, or to aid them in health, calling upon the dead of the graves, Ikhwan, and that they have no power, no might, no ability in. And then the Shaykh, he says, or those who disregard, and listen to this, those who disregard, those who make tawaf around the graves, those who make tawaf, Ikhwan, as if they're at the top of the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Making tawaf, Ikhwan, circling the graves of the dead, as acts of ibadah. The Shaykh, he says, Ikhwan, or those who call out to the inhabitants of the grave, believing that they will bring about for them good or repel from evil for them. Or those who do not see that these individuals have left al-Islam by this action, this evil, and warned against action. And then the Shaykh, he says, rather, not only do they not see these individuals, Ikhwan, upon their evil and upon their kufr, بل يسميه أخا, rather they call him a brother. Rather, Ikhwan, from those individuals, they call them from their brothers. What methodology is this, Ikhwan? What methodology is Banawiyah? Of the likes of Hasan al-Banna, and the likes of those individuals, the Ikhwan Muslimin, who call to the likes of ignoring these matters, that we will have, Ikhwan, unity in that which we agree upon, and we will excuse one another those things that we differ. Now, Ikhwan, we're going to excuse the worshippers at the grave, those who make shirk al-akbar, major shirk of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where is this excusing them? Where is this turning a blind eye? Where do you find us in the book of Allah? Where do you find us in the sunnah of the Messenger of Allah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Where the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the authentic narration sent Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ikhwan, to the land and told him to demolish and to level every grave above a handspan. Where are you finding, Ikhwan, this turning of a blind eye? This is not the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So therefore, where did you find this methodology? You found this methodology outside of the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And never will we turn a blind eye. Never will we be quiet regarding these matters. We will speak our Ikhwan, as we found in the Messenger of Allah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the way of the Sahaabah, Ali ibn Abi Talib, and the way of the Tabi'een, and those who came after them, from the life of Shaykh Muhammad al-Wahhab, Ikhwan, calling the believers to Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, and calling to the leveling of the graves. This is the call, Ikhwan, of Ahl-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah. Not like those, Ikhwan, who turn a blind eye, bel yusammihi akhan, rather call them brother. Rather call them brother in religion. And then the Shaykh, he says, وَيَجْعَلَهُ فِي دَعْوَةِ أَضْوًا, and make them in their da'wah a partner, and an associate, and an aid, and a help in their call. فَإِنَّهُ قَدْ هَدَمَ تَوْحِيدَ الْأُلُوهِيَّةِ بِذَلِكَ, and indeed he has tried to bring down the matter of Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah by the doing of this matter, Ikhwan. And the Shaykh, he continues, after mentioning those who make istighath at the grave, and those who turn a blind eye to them, وَمَنْ تَأَوَّلَ الصِّفَاتِ بِمَا يُوجِبُ إبْطَالَ مَعْنَاهَا الْحَقِيقِي الَّذِي أَرَادَهُ اللَّهُ فِي كِتَابِهِ وَأَرَادُ نَبِيُّهُ الْمُبَلَّغْ عَنْهُ. And also, Ikhwan, those who make ta'weel who misinterpret and try to change the meanings of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that which would necessitate negation of their meaning, their true and real meaning, of which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended in His book, and which the Messenger of Muhammad intended, and that which he brought relating from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. زَاعِمًا أَنَّ ظَاهِرَهَا غَيْرُ مَرَادٍ. These individuals claiming that the apparent meaning in these asma wa sifat of Allah, these names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is not what is intended. It is not what is intended. We find, ikhwan, from the likes of the Ash'a'ira and the Mu'tazila, and as we'll see other than them. And then the Shaykh says, بأنه يلزم منه المشابهة كالأشعرية, and that which necessitates, ikhwan, a tashbih, the likes of the Ash'a'ira, أو نفاها بالكلية كالجهمية والمعتزلة, or those who negate them all together, like the Jahmiyya والمعتزلة. أو زعم أن القرآن ليس كلام الله وأنه مخلوق, or those, ikhwan, barakallahu fikum, who claim that the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is created, كالسائر المخلوقات, like other affairs from the creation. Do we not understand, ikhwan, the struggle of Imam Ahmad Ibn Yahyaa, and that which he suffered, ikhwan, at the hands of the Jahmiyya, in defense of the statement of the book of Allah, that the Quran is kalam Allah, غير مخلوق? Do you not know the suffering of Imam Ahmad, and his imprisonment, and his beating, and the suffering that he took? Was he from those, ikhwan, who caused the unification with these individuals? Is he from those who turned a blind eye to these individuals? Or is he from those who did not speak against them, but rather what we found from him was kalam against Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, people who busy themselves, ikhwan, in refutation against Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, against the Jamaa'atut-Tableegh. And when it comes to the likes of these individuals who make ta'weel, sukuta, nothing from them but silence and whispers. Nothing from them, ya ikhwan. Imam Ahmad Ibn Yahyaa, ikhwan, spoke out with his loudest voice. He was punished, ya ikhwan. He was in prison, ya ikhwan. We need to understand that this is a methodology, ya ikhwan. This stands of Imam Ahmad Ibn Yahyaa, rahimahullaah ta'ala, ikhwan, in defense of the Sunnah. Because what is at the other side of that? If Imam Ahmad doesn't stand up, if Imam Ahmad doesn't stand, ikhwan, as a barrier between haqq and batil in front of the innovators and the likes of this, then what will happen to the common folk? What will be the lot, ikhwan, of those individuals? If Imam Ahmad was concerned, ikhwan, about those from the Sufiya, who said, why are you always speaking as the innovators? Why are you always talking as the people of Mukhalifa, those who oppose the way? Why are you always talking out? If Imam Ahmad and those who were with him were concerned with these matters, what would have been, ikhwan, the affair of the common folk, the affair of the ignorant? But rather, ikhwan, the likes of these Ummah, they stand in defense of the Dawah Salafiyah. They stand in defense of the Manhaj Salafees. And they refute the likes of these individuals who say the Quran is created. They stand in defense of the Quran and in defense of the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they were not from those, ikhwan, who remained quiet about the innovators and spoke with their loudest voice against Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Look at these individuals, ikhwan, who have moved their tongues and moved their pens against Ahlul Sunnah, article after article, singing against the scholars of Salafiyah, singing against the students of knowledge of Salafiyah, against the common folk from Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. But you do not find from them, ikhwan, kalima wahida, where they speak against the ru'us al-bidah, the heads of innovation. Where are their articles? Where are their websites? Where are their lectures? Where is their stance against these individuals who have fought against Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah? Some of them from their own manabir, from their minbar, and from their musalla. And we find nothing from them, ikhwan, but sukut, but silence. But when Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, yubayyin ma indahum, wa yuhaddar min Ahl al-Bid'ah, when they clarify what is with these individuals and warn against them, those individuals are ghulat. They're extreme. They've gone beyond bounds. But as Shaykh Rabi ibn Hadi al-Madkhali mentioned, ya akhwan, in an-Naqd manhajun shar'iyyun, in his work, then criticism, in his Islamic methodology, there's a legislative methodology. The Shaykh, he mentioned, this is nothing but the statement of the Sufi of old. This is nothing but the statement of the Sufiya of old. They will stand before Al-Sunnah. Why do you always say Fulan is a Qazzab, Fulan is a liar? Fulan al-Mu'tazili, so-and-so from the Mu'tazila. Fulan al-Ash'ari. Why do you always say so-and-so from the Ash'ari? Why do you always say Fulan al-Shi'i? Why all do we hear from you this affair? This Ikhwan had its roots in the Sufiya, who tried to stand against Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And that was their book from their book, Ikhwan, of Aqeedah. And in their books of Jarh wa Ta'deel, in praise and criticism, which is an Islamic methodology, that the Shaykh Rabi mentioned was an aid in the preservation of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do not find Imam Ahmad Ikhwan turning away from this matter, rather warning against it, rather taking punishment for it, rather being imprisoned for it. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah Ikhwan, writing with his pen against the innovator, writing with his pen Ikhwan against those from the Asha'ira and other than them, taking the jail cell Ikhwan for standing up for that which was the haqq. Barakallahu feekum. So let's not be from those who lose heart and become weak in the face of these matters. For the Messenger of Allah Muhammad clarified for us Ikhwan that there will never cease to be a party victorious upon the truth, and they will not be able to harm them, those who come against them and those who oppose them. So this should be known to you, Ikhwan, that there's going to be opposition. There are going to be those who will come in front of you and will fight against you, tooth and nail. But our Prophet Muhammad has promised us, Ikhwan, that they will not be able to harm Ahl-Sunnah. They will not be able to harm the Dawah Salafiyah. Don't lose heart, Ikhwan. Remain firm. Remain strong in your call. Remain strong in your belief. And know by the promise of the Messenger of Allah Muhammad, they will not be able to harm you. They will not be able to harm Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Barakallahu feekum. And the Shaykh continues, rahimahullaah ta'ala, وأن الله لا يراه المؤمنون وأن الله لا يراه المؤمنون في الآخرة المعتزلة ومن زعم أن العبد يخلق أفعاله كالقدرية. And then the Shaykh mentions Ikhwan, and those who claim that Allah will not be seen by the believers in the Akhirah, in the next life, in the life of the Mu'tazila, and those who allege and those who claim that the slaves are the creators of their actions, like the Qadariyah, أو أن العبد مسير كالحجر الذي يذهبه يعني أو الغصن الذي تحركه الرياح كالقدرية الغلاة. Or from those individuals who say that the person is like the stone that falls down the mountain, or like the limb that is blown in the wind, meaning it has no will, no free will, and the likes of this from the extreme of the Qadariyah. أو زعم أن مرتكب الكبيرة كافر مخلد في النار كالخوارج. Or those who claim that the person who does the major sin is a disbeliever who will dwell in the hellfire forever, like the Khawarij. The Shaykh continues, أو لا مؤمن ولا كافر وهو في الآخرة مخلد في النار كالمعتزلة. Or those who are not either believers nor disbelievers, but rather they are between the affairs. بين منزلتين, as the Mu'tazila say. They are between the matters and between the affairs. أو زعم أن الإيمان لا يضر معه ذنب. Or those who say that sins do not harm an individual's iman. That sins do not harm an individual's iman. So as Shaykh al-Albani mentioned, Ikhwan, in his checking of Riyadh al-Salihin in the Muqaddimah, Ikhwan, he mentioned a tremendous narration of Abu Hurairah in the Sahih Imam Muslim. إن الله لا ينظر إلى أجسامكم ولا صوركم ولكن الله ينظر إلى قلوبكم وأعمالكم. That indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not look at your shapes and your forms, but rather He looks at your actions and your hearts. Your heart and your actions, ya Ikhwan. So the Shaykh, he says, so if the individuals who claim that these actions are not a part of Iman, then when you command the common folk with the growing of the beard, or when you command the sisters with covering themselves properly, or when you command the people to do these matters of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will say what is important is what is in the heart. They will say what is important is in the heart. And we find from the callers, Ikhwan, those who try to diminish this matter, And they talk about Ikhwan, barakallahu feekum. The life of not concerning oneself with these matters. But rather we find it in the obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That when Allah revealed those ayahs in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya ayyuhan nabi, قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين أن يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن. O Prophet, say to your wives and your daughters and the women of the believers to cover themselves with the jilbab. What do we find the women of the Sahaabah doing? Look at Ikhwan in the seerah. Look at the tafsir of this particular ayah. You find them rushing out, racing out, tearing up tents, tearing off cloth, anything to get their hands on to cover themselves. Why don't we encourage our sisters with the likes of these affairs? Why don't we encourage them to follow this blessed way of the Sahabiyat? Why don't we encourage them to have this kind of due diligence in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? As it says, saying that these affairs, don't concern yourselves with them. Yes, we understand the foundations of Tawheed. We understand this matter, ya Ikhwan, barakallahu feekum. But as Shaykh al-Albani mentioned, ya Ikhwan, we call the people to the deen bil-kulliyah. We call the people to the religion, Ikhwan, all together, as a whole, barakallahu feekum. Remembering that Tawheed is the foundation and the fundamental principle. But it does not mean, Ikhwan, that we allow the people to remain upon sin and transgression. Rather, we advise them and warn them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the way of the messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Do we not find, ya Ikhwan, in the narration when the companions were traveling with the messenger of Allah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and as Shaykh Muhammad bin Hadi mentions, ya Ikhwan, they were from the new Muslims, from those who accepted Islam recently. And the messenger of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when they said to him, Ij'al lana za'an wa, make for us a tree like their tree, to see what the disbelievers would hang their weapons upon. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, indeed, you have said that which the people of before you have said. Make for us a God like their God. Shaykh Muhammad bin Hadi said, yes, why, that even though they were loose on Islam, the Prophet had to instruct them. He had to bring this matter to them. This matter was important. It was not something to leave them upon. Look at the narration of Mu'adh bin Hakim al-Sulami. In the narration of Quran, when someone sneezed in the salah, and he continued to speak out in the prayer, and so the companions were striking upon their thighs to silence him. And he said, may your mothers be bereaved of you. And when the prayer was over, the Messenger of Muhammad came to him and instructed him that the prayer is for what? It is for tasbih, for tahmeed, for qira'at al-Quran. It is for saying subhanallah, and for saying alhamdulillah, and for the recitation of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet did not leave him upon that. He clarified to him, ya Ikhwan. So we clarify to the Ummah that which is correct and that which is incorrect. Remembering the foundation and fundamental matter is at Tawheed. How many times have you heard the people say, all those people, brothers, concerned the people with is warning of the people. The people don't even know how to make wudu. How many lessons, Ikhwan, have we done in wudu? How many lessons have we done in Mulakhas al-Fiqh? And in the affairs of Umdat al-Ahkam? And in the Ikhwan, Bukhari, and Muslim, and other books of Hadith? How many lessons can you find upon our website? How many files can you find? Lessons and classes in al-wudu. But does that mean, Ikhwan, that because we need to teach the people wudu, that we leave off wanting to be innovators? So if we need to innovate to teach them wudu? Allahumma musta'an, ya Ikhwan. Understand the foundation of this matter. Understand the fundamental principle of this matter. As Shaykh al-Albani mentioned, Ikhwan, we teach the people this affair in its totality. So then we go on and we talk about this, Ikhwan. And we continue with what the Shaykh has mentioned. From those who say that the sins do not harm, وَأَنْهُ مُجَرَّبُ التَّصْدِيقِ, that what is sufficient is iman in the heart. Even if it is not accompanied by nutq wala amal, even if it is not accompanied by statement and action, kal-murji'ah, from the likes of the murji'ah. And we have found in the narration of the Messenger of Allah Muhammad in the hadith, in al-Bukhari, Kitab al-Iman. The Messenger of Allah Muhammad mentioned, ya Ikhwan, al-Iman, bid'ah wa sittuna shu'bah, or bid'ah wa sab'una shu'bah, that the Iman phase is of 70-something or 60-something degrees. A'laha kalima, la ilaha illallah. The head of it, the top of it, Ikhwan, is the statement that nothing has the right to be worshipped except for Allah alone. And the lowest of it, Ikhwan, iman al-adha an al-tariq. And the lowest of it is to remove something harmful from the road. وَالْحَيَاء شُعْبَةٌ مِنَ الْإِيمَانِ. and shyness is from faith. In this hadith,